Hey guys, welcome to episode 4. Now that you have a good idea of what support and resistance are, we are going to show you how to start plotting support and resistance points yourself. So here is qualification criteria we use for validating support and resistance areas. We look for swing highs and swing lows, meaning the highest and lowest point price has reached in a designated period. Multiple touches and rejections of an area, the more the better. The level has acted as both support and resistance. The move away from the area was drastic and significant. If it was respected recently, meaning it is still an area of interest in a recent time period. Now, this is important. You don't need all the things listed to qualify an area as support and resistance. But if it does include more of each criterion, it makes for a stronger support and resistance point. So as we go through these over and over again in this program, you will be able to identify these areas within seconds of looking at a chart, so don't stress. So here we have the pound yen pair. The first place my eyes go is to the top area where I notice 3 rejections. So I draw in a line to signal to myself that this is an area of resistance. Now, in reference to the list we previously provided, this area satisfies 4 of the 5 criteria to make this a good resistance level. The first factor that this satisfies is that this area is a swing high, meaning the highest point that price has reached in this time period. The second factor is the multiple rejections, as you can see 3 in total. The third factor is that the move away was significant, as you can see price tanked down every time it got here. And the fourth factor it satisfies is that it was recently respected, meaning that price reversed from here in a recent time period, as you can see by the recent third rejection. Now let's look at the bottom. I noticed 2 rejections, so I draw in a level of support. The criteria that this level satisfies is that it is a swing low, there are multiple rejections, 2 in total, and the move away was drastic. Now, here on the right I noticed 2 rejections, so I draw in another level of support. This level was a recent swing low for this time period, had 2 rejections, and the move away was significant, and it was recently respected. Now, remember these 3 very important points. Even though we are drawing in lines, in your mind you have to think of these areas as areas. Don't treat them as solid lines or solid numbers. What this means is we expect price to react in this general area, not at a set price or a set number. And you'll understand this more thoroughly in our strategy section. The second important point is that just because you have support and resistance drawn in does not mean you jump into trades every time price gets to these areas. You always have to wait for price action and confirmation at these areas before even considering a trade. This is what we have been referring to as the market showing its hand. And the next important point is the more obvious, the better. The more people that have their eyes on these areas, the better they are, as more people will be looking to enter or exit trades here. Harder to find support and resistance areas do not make them better. The ones that jump out right at you are the best ones. Don't draw in 100 lines and confuse yourself. Less is more. Now, over here on the right, price finally breaks through this level of resistance, and remember in the last episode, when price breaks resistance, that resistance becomes support. And this here is a picture perfect example. Price breaks through resistance, comes back to test this new level of support, and bounced, which would have made a great trade. Now, I noticed that price made a new swing high here. Okay, a new swing high. So what do? I draw in a new level of resistance because price could potentially reverse when it gets here next. So then price comes down, again, rejects this level of support for a second time and bounces, reiterating the fact that these levels work. So you can see why these levels are so important, as this new support has already created 2 profitable trade opportunities. Now, this is very key. Look at what happens. This new swing high resistance that we just drew in, price came up, hit it, and reversed. So you are starting to get an idea of how these things all work. Now let's jump to another pair and do this again. So here is the pound Aussie, starting from the top. I spot 3 rejections and a false breakout, so I draw in a line here. Now at this next level, I spot support and resistance rejections, 5 in total. Remember that for one of the criteria, if a level has acted as both support and resistance, this makes it very key. So again, I draw in another line. Moving down to this next level, I see both support and resistance rejections, another 5. So another line. Now at the bottom, 3 rejections of support, I draw in another line. And finally, the extreme swing low, meaning the lowest point. I see 2 rejections and I put in another line. So again, to reiterate one of the important points, keep it simple, because you can probably spot a lot of other minor support and resistance levels in between all these lines we've drawn. But remember, the most important thing as a beginner is to keep it simple. Less is more, so just focus on the main key levels for now. Don't try to clutter up your chart and confuse yourself. So in the next episode, we will reveal to you one of the keys and secrets to finding dynamic support and resistance. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.